In this session, we will find out how we can get the most of working with mentors. We'll consider the educative mentoring approach, and we will discover what educative mentoring might mean for our practice. One of the biggest mistakes student teachers can make in their relationship with their mentor is seeing themselves as passive recipients. Being mentored is a skill. It's not difficult, but it does require taking an active role. These are some characteristics that you will need to be a good mentee, and they can all develop with practice. Patience. When you set targets for what you want to achieve, you may envisage yourself meeting them quickly. The reality is that mentoring is a slow and gradual process. Good student teachers recognize this and patiently commit to the relationship, knowing that while they may see some immediate improvement, it will take time to develop as a teacher. Openness. It's important to be receptive to feedback, both positive and challenging. When student teachers are open to learning about their strengths and weaknesses, they become more self-aware and make faster progress. Determination. As a student teacher, you're going to receive a lot of valuable advice from your mentor, but it's not enough just to listen to this guidance. You need to act on the advice to see progress. It's a good idea to take notes during the weekly mentor meeting that can help to inform your training plan and specific developmental targets for the coming week. Preparing for mentoring sessions. Many student teachers make the mistake of showing up to their weekly mentor meeting with the expectation that the mentor will drive the conversation. Remember, these sessions are mainly for your benefit. To make the most of your limited time with your mentor, we recommend doing the following in advance. Review your notes from the last meeting. Reflect on your progress and development over the course of the week. That's box A on the weekly mentor meeting form. Think about what you want to work at next. You will work with your mentor to plan specific developmental targets for the coming week. Think about any learning opportunities that you want to have in the coming half term. These will go in your training plan. Make a note of any questions you want to ask. During your weekly mentor meeting, your mentor is seeking to develop an educative approach, which means that they will help you to focus on pupil learning, to learn and grow from analysis of your experiences, to be ambitious in your teaching, and to appreciate learning about your teaching. They will want you to explore your beliefs about learning and will be helping you in learning the how and why of teaching. They will be encouraging you to share your thoughts through their questions, but will also be explaining the thinking behind their practice. So do ask them why to explore their thinking. You both have a shared goal this year of helping you to develop your teaching. If you have suggestions on how to improve your meeting, or if there's something about the way your mentor communicates that confuses you, let them know. Remember that effective feedback is descriptive rather than evaluative, and specific rather than general. This type of honesty ensures that your time together is being used effectively. Learning to be a good mentor takes time, and receiving careful feedback from their student teacher can be helpful. It's not only the mentor's responsibility to keep the relationship going. As a student teacher, you have the ability to deepen the relationship, whether that's by checking in with your mentor between meetings or sending them a thank you note for all their help. Gestures like this can make a world of difference when it comes to the quality of your mentoring relationship. Having a mentor is a special opportunity that shouldn't be wasted. The educative mentoring approach can support you to learn from the analysis of your experience. So you not only learn that, but also learn how to. This approach contrasts to a more traditional view of mentoring, where the mentor is the expert who must fill up the student teacher so that they can quickly undertake the processes of teaching by passing on what works here with transmission of an established body of knowledge and skills. Research has shown that some mentors have a predominantly traditional and deficit view of teacher education, describing student teachers as receivers of advice and mentors as the finished article whose task is to act as a role model and assessor. We are seeking to become more educative in our mentoring as teachers who learn from teaching alongside you, realizing that we are all in a stage of development.
Instead, the educative mentoring approach moves the focus from teaching performance to pupil learning, encouraging student teachers to learn and grow from analysis of their experiences, to be ambitious with their teaching, and to appreciate learning about their teaching. The student teacher is an active participant in the learning process, whilst the mentor purposefully and intentionally shapes learning opportunities in the mentee's intellectual zone of proximal development. The learning is situated in the actual doing of those tasks. The principles of educative mentoring are collaborative partnership between mentor and student teacher and critical friendship to support the development of the student teacher. So, mentoring can be seen in this approach as situated inquiry. The educative mentoring approach sees the classroom as the site of inquiry where teachers learn in and from teaching. Different approaches to practice are trialled, and a problem of practice is the focus of the talk between the mentor and mentee. Questions are asked about practice and links are made with theory, reinforcing the connections between learn that and learn how to. Thinking aloud. This is when mentors share their ideas about issues and interpret what children say and do and make connections between different experiences. By thinking aloud, they help their mentee to understand how a teacher with a more sophisticated cognitive map of teaching and learning perceives an event in the classroom. The mentor will share thoughts, questions and wonderings whilst co-planning, and they will make reflections on their own teaching visible. Mentors probe the thinking of their mentees and encourage them to articulate the rationale for their practice. Joint work. This is because mentees and mentors are collaborating on authentic teaching tasks, and they interrogate, explain and justify their practice during their joint work. They develop a more reciprocal and less hierarchical mentoring relationship, enabling them to learn from one another as co-learners. There's a focus on pupil learning. Lesson observations and debriefing are focused on pupil learning needs and goals. Pupil thinking and work is used as a source of knowledge about teaching and learning. Bifocal practice is how educative mentors attend to both the here and now and the direction that the mentee's learning is going. They have a bifocal vision of learning teaching. There are specific high leverage practices identified in order to help the mentee in learning that aspect of practice and leading them towards a better understanding of teaching and learning. The practices that educative mentors use include coaching, that's giving advice during the lesson, stepping in, that's demonstrating during a lesson, co-teaching, and demonstration teaching.
Now we have heard about the educative mentoring approach, we will look together at what this might mean for our practice as we plan and review learning opportunities with our mentors. So we are looking at lesson planning, learning teaching strategies, being observed and getting feedback, target setting and reviewing your progress as a student teacher through the educative mentoring lens. At the start of ITE, it is often useful for mentors to have more of a watch me and then do stance. But over time, as student teachers gain more experience and understanding of teaching, they adopt an educative stance.
Firstly then, lesson planning. When co-planning, mentors have tended to show mentees their plans, describe activities and provide feedback on a plan that you subsequently develop, which informs you of what to do when. However, to help you to understand why and how to plan, with an educative approach, we are seeking to co-plan collaboratively with you, making our thoughts and decisions explicit and visible, and we focus on the pupil's needs and learning goals. Here are some examples of the kind of collaborative language that you might hear. The lesson plan has become a focus of inquiry into teaching practices to help mentors to share their practices so you can examine, question, and grow in your understanding. Often, whether we are wanting to look at strategies for dealing with behaviour, assessment, or inclusion, we as mentors have tended to say, watch me or watch this other teacher who does it well, and now you do it. But rather, in the educative mentoring approach, you might be hearing this kind of language. Again, making it a subject of inquiry to consider how and why we do what we do. Mentors taking a more traditional stance tend to give feedback by dispensing advice to a student teacher who unquestioningly receives it. In contrast, as developing educative mentors, we are trying to encourage you to contribute to professional conversations and reflect on your practice using questions to probe your understanding. Here are some more questions that might be asked of you when your teacher mentor is giving you feedback.
When you come to reviewing your progress, we are moving towards developing our conversations from a monologue where you are being told what has already been decided to a place of dialogue where you might be hearing these sorts of things, so that you are actively involved in sharing the evidence you have for your progress. Developing as a teacher is not simply being trained to apply different activities. It is a process of developing practice based on a conceptual stance towards teaching. The tools of continuous improvement in teaching include observation, co-planning, co-teaching, joint inquiry, critical conversation, and reflection. These will be part of your ongoing professional development, so it is great to embrace these professional learning opportunities and to get the most from them.
Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you would like to find out more about educative mentoring, there is an open access article in link. Thank you.